Alright, so you know how you run into Joanne just to look and then you're not going to buy anything? Haha. So we came out with some fun stuff. So they had quilting cotton on sale for $2.99 a yard. So we got this really neutral butterfly print and the super cute aqua bee print. My daughter, I'm going to make her some gloves for church, so that's what's going to be in this video. So these are probably the two I'm going to use. And then we already had this like white knit in our stash, so we're going to just see which one works better. And then they have this nice cotton yarn that's really soft feeling. Some cotton yarns feel kind of like not soft, but this is pretty soft feeling. It's knit and crochet premium cotton yarn. And then my husband liked this variegated color, so we're gonna do a beanie, and then I got some nice socks in a stripe pattern with this like lighter mint green and then this kind of aqua color. And then I got some double pointed needles. So yeah, so in this video we are going to look at just making up some quick gloves and see if that works or not. It might not work, and it might, and maybe we'll learn something cool. Okay, so I've got the bee fabric. I ironed just a little section of it. Best practice for something like this, if I plan to wash it, absolutely I needed to wash this and dry it because it's 100% cotton. It's going to shrink if I throw it in the wash. I'm really trying to prove a concept right now because my husband thinks that I can make a glove out of a woven fabric. Basically, quilting cotton is just 100% cotton. It's not stretchy. It will stretch a little bit on the bias, so I might try that, like cutting it out on the bias, kind of. Well, if I want it to stretch this way, so if this is the grain line, yeah, so I guess if I cut it more like that, I'm not sure. So my backup is that I have the knit fabric that I can use. So we've got these two different pairs of cotton gloves that fit her now. There is some stretch, especially in this one. There's quite a bit of stretch in this one. This one, it's not super stretchy, but there is a little bit. So I might play around with the bias part because you can actually get some stretch if you're stretching it the diagonally. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn probably this glove out because it's a little bit bigger. I'm going to turn this glove inside out, and then I'm going to just mark it up with my tailor's chalk and then cut it and just try and sew one and just see. I've got enough of this fabric that if I have to throw one glove away, it's not that big of a deal. And then if this doesn't work, I'm going to use the knit fabric. If it does work, then maybe I will wash the rest of it and make a real pair, but I kind of feel like it's not going to work, so I don't know that it's a big deal if the first pair is like wear once and kind of throw away kind of thing. So anyway, I'm going to set up so that I can trace this out. So these are some pretty big seam allowances. I feel like you could get a much better fit just by cutting the seam allowances smaller once you sew it. So I don't know. So see how that actually does. So straight across, there's not much, like this, there's no stretch at all. But there is actually some stretch across the green line. So I'm thinking, yeah, if I cut it out like this, it might work. So there we go. And then if I just double this up, then I will cut out each one. All right, so I'm really not using much of the fabric, and hopefully this will give me, I'm going to cut myself out a little bit of a seam allowance. Even though there was some included, this will just give me a little bit of an extra. And what I'll try and do is kind of cut in the middle. And the way that chalk is, if I wasn't going to cut this out right away, I probably would want to like maybe trace the lines with a basting stitch so that I would keep my lines. And because we have the right sides of the fabric together, like now we just have to zip, 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 stitch it all. So this is going to be a pretty fast process. So I'll probably pin it a little bit and then we'll just get on the sewing machine. What I do want to do is figure out about how much seam allowance there is on here. Alright, so it seems like about 1/4 of an inch. Yeah, so I'm going to say from the line itself, it's inside 1/4 of an inch. So what I could do is I could just know that, or I could go through with like a heat erasable pen or something, and like if I wanted to have a line to stitch on, but for now I can just put that red mark right on my 1/4 inch line on my sewing machine. And in some places there might not be quite as much, but I think that I can go in with a little bit. Yeah, so there is a little bit of stretch, so it might be enough, it might not be. We won't know until we try. Alright, so this is the glove inside out, so I'm just going to see if I can even turn it around and then how that looks. Alright, so it is a gloved shape object. It's not perfect. The fingers actually look a bit short. I guess that's how that glove works too. Okay, so it's on, and it was really hard to get on because of the wrist. And then the fingers, like her fingers actually are, so it's almost an inch right there. So I'm just going to mark up like how it's fitting and then update. I'm going to give it a little more room. If we need to, we could do like a button or something, but it would be nice to avoid that. So let's see. Okay, so basically hours later, it's just not going to work with the woven fabric without inserting some kind of like basically like a gore almost, like from here to here. I don't know if you have work gloves or something, work gloves or something. Basically this is always going to be too tight without any stretch. So we got into stretch fabric and I just zipped it up really quick, and it's not the best fit in the world, but it'll do for what we want it for. So I'm just going to cut out the next one and I will show the filling or the sewing process of that. Okay, so I have sewed the second glove. I'm just going to trim the seam allowances, and then I'm going to hem up the bottom, and then we will be good to go. Now, these don't fit perfectly. If you want really well-fitting gloves, then it does make sense to get one of those patterns where you're adding in the little, and then the thumb is actually in those gloves a separate piece. And then for a really well-fitting glove, you're going to have some mechanism to close it. Like, if it's a nice lady's glove, it's going to be, like a little button that's very discreet. If it's like a man's work glove, it's probably going to be Velcro. But since these are just little, like, funsy church gloves, they don't need to be super well made. I did learn a lot because I did learn that I could have made the woven fabric work. It just wasn't something that was worth my time, honestly. Like, I've been messing around with this for a couple hours at this point, and I learned a lot, but I'm pretty frustrated, and I'm doubly frustrated because I knew I should have been using knit, but knit wasn't on sale, and the woven fabric was, and by the time I realized that this wasn't working, it felt close enough that I could make it work, and so I probably just wasted too much time messing around with it, but I got some valuable experience, and that helps too. And the fabric that I was messing around with was cheap, so. But if you're going to make quick gloves, I suggest a knit fabric. Okay, so here are the finished gloves. So basically, we are happy with what happened. The problem with the non-knit fabric, so the quilting cotton, was that the first attempt was actually pretty close to working. And so I think I kept working, trying to make it better for too long. So at one point I just got really frustrated and stopped. And then we just decided to make it out of knit. So the knit worked good. I'm going to put a pattern on the screen so you could see what a glove pattern actually would look like that would work with a woven fabric. And I think that if it was a project that I was okay with taking a long time, because sewing all those little between the fingers, like right here, would be really fiddly. So anyway, we just wanted something quick, and the knit fabric is what we needed. And yeah, we're happy with the results. So thanks for watching.